Hello and welcome to our 2 weeks past Brexit market update. So we've chosen to do our market updates a little bit more frequently because we're getting so many inquiries at the moment from so many of you about exactly what's going on in the marketplace at the moment. Is it a good time to sell? Is it a good time to buy? Those sorts of things. So the first thing I would say is that the changes which we've seen have not been anywhere near as dramatic as we expected. People's decisions to buy and sell have been relatively unaffected, but two trends have definitely appeared. A difference between the areas which were predominantly Leave supporters and the difference in areas which were predominantly Remain supporters. And if you think about it, a market is predominantly driven by confidence. It's driven by your expectation as what you think is going to happen next. And if you put yourself into the mind of someone who voted Leave, then clearly their expectation is that life outside the EU is better than life inside, therefore their decision to buy or sell is unaffected. And equally, if you're a Remain, then potentially you may feel that life inside the EU is better, and therefore maybe there's something to fear outside of the EU. So if we pick up with Doncaster as a starter, this was the most strongly pro-Leave area that we had within the Preston Baker business. 69% of all voters voted to Leave, and we've seen a doubling of the sales rate in the past 2 weeks. So twice as many sales in comparison to the number of listings than we would normally expect, which is really interesting. The next biggest area which voted Leave was Selby, and they've agreed 13 sales in the past 2 weeks. There was 59% of the customers voted to Leave, and actually the number of sales are currently outstripping the number of new houses coming onto the market, which again is the only branch within the Preston Baker Group where that's currently happening. So again, Doncaster, Selby, we've seen really big surges in sales activity. In terms of the areas which voted Remain, the most strongly Remain area was York, which voted with 58% of the vote to Remain, and we've actually seen the number of listings, so the number of new sellers coming to the market, increase dramatically, and we've listed 18 new instructions over the past 2 weeks. But the proportion of those which have sold immediately has decreased. Now, partly if you suddenly increase supply, demand often takes a little while to catch up, but after the first 2 weeks, that balance has definitely shifted in favour of buyers rather than sellers. And equally, we've seen similar aspects in North Leeds with good numbers of listings, 25 over the past 2 weeks, but actually the proportion of those which are selling marginally lower than we were experiencing before. And then finally, South West Sheffield, similar picture to North Leeds. So that's the picture so far. It's still really early days to try and make any firm judgments or assessments about what's going to happen. But what I can tell you is that houses are selling in every area where we trade, but certainly the areas which are doing really well and actually have seen an improvement are Selby and Doncaster, and the areas where we've maybe seen a slight shift towards buyers have been the more pro-Remain areas. So I'll do another update in a couple of weeks' time, hopefully with some more data to be able to share with you. Until then, thanks very much for watching.